Okay, we'll make this real quick. Here's the list I ran today. Went 5-0 and Capsao, so I guess maybe technically 4-0 since I got no show round one. Um, but this is a list for Beelzemon for the post-ban list, but not OT Cup format. We have 4 Warp Imp for BT2 Imp for Whip X, 1 of the banned Impmon, 4 Tamers, 4 Witchmon, 4 Wizards, 4 Deathslingers, 4 Rivals Barrage, 4 EX2 BLs as my 4 ofs, and then 2 of the X-Antibody options, only 3 Balmon X, 2 Beelzemon X, 2 7th Clusters, 1 Darkness Wave, and 1 of each of Starter Deck BLs, Starter Deck Beelstar, and 1 Blast Mode. The idea is that I was trying to compensate for the lack of EX Imp and trying to find new ways of winning relatively quickly. So the idea was to basically abuse the ever-loving heck out of the EX2 Beelzemon, right? Try to float as much as possible and get these to just continue to mill. And if you're doing that, you're probably not going to be climbing as often. So I tried to build this deck to less emphasize climbing. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, was to try to turbo into a scenario where you can get the Warp Imp to warp with X-Antibody underneath of it, which is why I swapped to having 2 X-Antibody and swapped all of my level 5s for 3 copies of Balmon X, so I can just basically try to dig for the X-Antibody sooner, right? Um, I felt there's a lot of games where trying to make Balmon and going to Beals felt pretty bad in a lot of different matchups. King Chaos Dramon, it feels bad to get the Digivolved. Against Hunters, it feels bad to get Superior Mode under something. Against All Force, it felt bad to get bounced. You know, all that and that. So I emphasized the deck to basically not care what happens to the Balmon X, right? So I decided to alleviate the whole like worrying about whether or not I can float, and just to go all in on trying to find X antibody to make this warp happen as soon as possible, right? So that's the reasoning behind this build. So it's all about getting these imps to swing into security to die and pop out this Beelzemon, so play more of them and eventually set up to 20 in trash and them at being at like 2 at security so that Impmon, X Antibody, BLX instantly wins the game. 2 7th clusters are still here in this build because I want to be able to get rid of huge blocker threats that have protection, such as Machine, Wargrey, and Allforce. These options are still here because they're amazing mill value. This deck is a little inconsistent at times, so you definitely really need to play the 4 Iron Mako. I got the 1 Darkness Wave to pair with the 1 BL Star because that's going to be a good way to enable your combos after your opponent like wipes your board and such. Of course, the other Blast Mode still is a good one-up for OTK moments and just to pop your opponents with this mild effect, or just there's a lot of moments where it gets you lethal. And because I'm focusing all in on EX2, and because I'm focusing all in on milling and warping, I decided I'd rather cut one of the starter BLs for the EX2 BLs. I'm Starter BLs is really, really good when you're going into Balmon, having it live and then evolving into it. And of course it's really good with the warp too. But if you're warping, that means it usually means that you've milled a bunch and you've probably at that point have seen the BLs, right? Um, but yeah, you used to run 2 of these so you can get it into your hand more often because you're going to be evolving your 5s. In this game, with this list, you're not evolving your 5s into 6s as often unless it just so happens to work out that way. Um, so I felt comfortable cutting the 1 especially because the game plan is to go Impmon X Ante go into BL's X, in which case a lot of the times if you're doing that for game, it doesn't matter which BLs you're going into. But yeah, that's the full deck list. Like I said, I was going to keep it short. How was BL Star today? I think today it didn't come up too much. I think I was winning really quick. If you high roll with this deck, you can win really, really fast because of how much Beelzemon helps you go super, super wide, right? Like I've had scenarios where I would go turn 1, beat 2, BT2 imps, turn 2, swing both of them, and then mill enough Beelzes to still have a board, and then turn 3 win the game because one of those Beelzes popped out Warp Imp within just warped for game. It happens, right? So yeah, Beelstar I think is necessary in this list because it's like a good recovery option or a good like backup plan. Uh, but it didn't come up today, but I still think it feels super necessary.